There we go. All right, I'm recording. So let's talk about it. The one-page plan, as you remember, Chad, that was 2 years ago. We met ourselves a consultant named Tro, and he got us to a book, and that book made us build our first one-page plan. And that was this book, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. So when he took us through that book, one of his goals was to help us build a one-page plan. Then he took us to a very complicated website to try to build it on, which absolutely, I think, broke us partway through the process. 6 months later, our new consultant had a simple one-page plan, but only made for accountants. Wasn't as useful for our clients and things. So we looked a little bit further and finally found one that works for everyone. And that's what I want to share today is what it is, how it helps, and what's it going to do for you. Here's a copy of the one-page plan here. On the left-hand side, we've got all of these ideas about what your business is like, what's going on in it. And on the right, we have 2-year goals, 1-year goals, and then quarterly goals. At the top, we have last year's numbers. This is my plan, by the way. And then we have each quarter every month to try to see where we're going. And at the bottom here, we have some goals. So let's talk about how you build this thing and how you make it work. This is something that we've printed and put on the wall. I think there's a copy in the conference room for everyone, and I keep a copy right above my desk, right above my camera, because it keeps me focused on the goal, what we're trying to achieve, and some of the rules. What do we want to be when we do that? So the goal of the one-page plan is really to help you make long-term plans, followed by some short-term goals to help you get there to those long-term goals. You can't just go in a straight line if there's an island in the way. Sometimes you got to steer around the obstacles that are going to appear in your small business. And this is one of the first tools we came across that really helped us do that. We're going to start off building this part of the one-page plan, and I'm going to ask you some questions. But before I do, I want you to open that workbook if you've got it. If you don't, grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and we're going to talk about your mission statement. And I want you to fill them in the workbook or fill them out on a piece of paper. And then when you're done and we're gone through the seminar, I want you to forward that to me. We're going to take that and we're going to build the one-page plan for you. We're going to fill in the blanks for you. We're going to go to your books if we have access to them, and we're going to fill in all the monthly sales numbers and last year's numbers too, so that we can see what we're doing and make sure that we're actually hitting those goals. And you can watch them on a quicker basis, short-term basis. So let me move forward to the first one. The first one is the mission statement. This is the hardest piece to get for a business owner, to get this out of your head. Can you describe what it is your business does? What makes you unique? What makes you different? Um, our clients always told us we take the pain out of taxes. We make it convenient for them. Burger King says it, have it your way. Walmart is always low prices. These are real simple, beautiful mission statements. And sometimes it's harder to do that for yourself. But you need to take a minute to figure out what makes you different, what makes your business different. And sometimes it's the little things that make you different. Because all accounting firms do taxes and accounting. We all do that. But what makes it different? How you do it in your business. And further, what is kind of your goal? That's the first one we need to get out of you in some way. And realize it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. These will modify and change slowly over time until they crystallize in your mind. And it should be something your employees know. Second thing is Keith Abraham. He put together this wonderful worksheet that he gave out to us when we were at a seminar that he put on, Chad and I. And he handed out this worksheet, which is 25 questions. The 25 questions, you're supposed to write down 4 answers to each one of these questions. Are there 4 wonders of the world you'd like to see? 4 financial milestones you'd like to achieve? They're personal and business goals. And there's a lot of them. And his reason is if you don't have that goal in front of you, that picture, then you won't be driven to get to where you're trying to go. You won't be driven to get there. So you need that. First bunch of these, business goals. Could it be sales? Could it be profits? A certain number of employees? Do you want more than one location? One of my clients has 4 locations. He wants to open 4 more. He wants to be in the 4 states around Arizona. That's his goal. And he's almost 70. It might be his final goal to get those 4 new offices added. Is there something you'd like to own or you would like to teach? Hobbies you want to pursue? You know, what is out there that is really a dream for you that will drive you? And then the next thing we want to do, just like those business goals, we want to set up ways to achieve these personal goals too. We need to kind of line them up and say, what's really important to me? How do I get there? What are the baby steps necessary to get it done? Because some of these goals are hard. If you want to run a marathon, you probably need to start by running a mile, and then maybe a 5K, then a 10K, and then you might be ready to move on to your first marathon. Okay, the next thing we want to do after you're done filling out your goals, and if you don't have that worksheet, let me know. We'll send a copy to you, is your big, hairy, audacious goal. Chad, who is this guy?
That's gritty.
Gritty?
Gritty.
Okay. All right. And he's for the Philadelphia Phillies. I assume that's the baseball team, right?
That's right. He's a big, hairy
Guy.
guy. And I like to think that the audacious goal is winning the pennant.
All righty. So, what's an outlandish goal for your business? Something ridiculous that's possible, and yet something you almost don't dream or think that you should dream about. This is a big one. When you find this one, it'll help drag you even further. JFK, of course, says we choose to go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard. What a ridiculous thing to choose to do at a time when we could barely get a monkey or a dog in space safely. And yet we did it. Now, why haven't we gone back? No willpower and no profit motive. But that is changing. By the end of the decade, we could have people on Mars if that program continues the way it's continuing right now. So, what is that big, hairy, audacious goal, the one that you're even afraid to admit out loud? That's a great one to have down there. And we've discussed that in my business. That's a crazy picture. All right, short-term goals. So back in 2018, when I got started with this, I went to a seminar, and at the seminar, near the end of the seminar, they handed me this one-page sheet, and they asked me to set 30-day goals, 90-day goals, one-year goals on this sheet, things that I wanted to accomplish. And so I sat down and wrote down all the things I thought we needed to get done. I brought it back to the office, and Chad and everyone here helped me get that list done. And then it was December. Tax season was here, and I kind of put it on the back burner. And we went into tax season mode. And at the end of tax season, Chad came back to me and says, "Hey, where's this year's list?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? We got it all done. Why would I need a new list?" And then I realized he was completely right. We needed a new list to keep driving us forward so the business could grow and improve. And it's changed a lot since then. We're more than twice as big as we were. And I think the number of business clients has almost doubled. We've changed what we did. Before 2018, we didn't do bookkeeping or accounting for our clients. We just did tax returns. So 30-day goals, little things you can get done quickly. 90-day goals, harder things, but things that if you got done would make the boat go faster, is the way we like to say it. What will drive your business forward? And we want to make sure that with these short goals, 30 and 90-day goals, we keep the big goal, the one-year goal in mind. So this is what we're talking about tacking. Sometimes the wind or business is pushing against you, and tacking is just adjusting your sails back and forth, but keeping that target so you get where you're going. Because things are going to happen, things you can control and things you can't. All right, hedgehog, do you have something that protects you from your competitors? This is the next nice piece that I like to think about. Because there's three main ways to compete: price, convenience, quality. What makes you different from people so that when someone tries to steal your customer, your client, they can't? What do you do? Do you have a process, a technology, a location, a price? What do you control that you can protect? This is the first ironclad from the Civil War. They covered a boat in sheets of iron so that the cannonballs from the enemy would bounce off it. Unfortunately, they didn't cover the bottom of the boat. This top-heavy thing flipped over and sank to the bottom of the river or the ocean it was in when a few big waves hit it. But what do you have that makes you protected from your competitors? Because we want to make sure that we continue to use that to keep you where you need to be. We don't want to lose focus. Do you have a brand promise, something you promise to your clients? And these come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, like the FedEx promise here. What are you promising with your service or your product? Are you promising happiness, convenience, peace of mind? Is there a warranty? Will you come back and fix it if something goes wrong? If their dog bites someone after you trained him not to, are you gonna come back and train the dog some more? What are you offering that is a promise to your clients? Again, you may think this, you may know it, but if you don't tell them, they don't realize the benefit that they're receiving. So we got to make sure that they know what your promise is. Um, or maybe is there a restriction on your brand? It only comes in one size, only one color, because that's what you want it to be. That's how you want it to work. Do you refuse to use certain things in your product because it's right or wrong, or because it's best for the customer or the service? All right, moving on to the next step. Dangers to eliminate. What risk is your industry or business facing right now? You're worried about AI? Is there technology that's changing? Do you have last year's X-ray machine and the new X-ray machines do so much better? Is there something that is threatening you right now or threatening your business that you can take care of, the steps that you can take to protect yourself? Um, what are you doing to make sure that you deliver the fastest, most convenient, highest quality product? What is it you're trying to, and then are you financially sound? Can you run out of money? Do you have enough of a buffer there that if things do turn bad, if the economy does go the wrong way, are you going to be okay? Are you protected from running out of money? So we want to make sure that we keep an eye on these dangers and mitigate them any way we can. And that's a process we're doing right now in my business, mitigating some of these dangers. Opportunities. All right, I want to tell a story about a restaurant. There was uh, a bunch of five-star restaurants in the world, and one of them was 50th in the nation on the list of best restaurants. And he wanted to figure out how he could become the number one restaurant in the world. So he took his employees to eat at the number one restaurant in the world. And they had a fantastic meal. And when they were done, he asked his employees, "What did you think?" And they all started talking about, "Oh, the sauce was so good. The service was great. This tasted good. The presentation was wonderful," and all of these things. And at some point, he just said, "Stop. I don't want to know what they did well. I want to know what they did poorly so that we won't do poorly the way they just did." And so he asked his employees again, "What did they do poorly?" And one of them says, "Well, the coffee was kind of mediocre." And the chef said, "Great. When we get back to our restaurant, I want one of you to take charge of the coffee and make sure that what we deliver is absolutely the best coffee in the world, no matter what machinery we have to buy or where we have to buy those beans. I want people to go, wow, when they taste our coffee." He asked another one, "What did you find?" The guy goes, "Well, they only had two beers to choose from, a light beer and a regular beer." And he says, "But they've got 15 wines on the wine list." And the chef said, "All right, let's be different then. When we get back to the restaurant, let's build ourselves 15 different beers and have a beer list for people to choose from. Some people aren't wine drinkers. And let's make sure our waiters and waitresses know which beer goes with the fish, which beer goes with the red meat, so that we can deliver an extraordinary experience." And it didn't take too long for him to rise from number 50 to number one in the nation by simply saying, "What do my competitors neglect? And can I do a better job at that one thing than what they're doing?" And there's some things in my business I do a certain way because of this, because I think my competitors neglect people with their methods. But here's some ideas on the board here for you to consider in your business. But let us know, what opportunities are you looking at that you can seize? Put that on that worksheet when you get it to me. What are you great at? Last thing, we want to make sure that we never lose sight of what it is that you do that you're great at, that people compliment you for in your business. Whatever that is, we want to make sure that we remind people in some way, and we remind your team to not forget. Don't lose sight of it, because your clients and customers already appreciate that about you. We want to make sure that while we're working on programs to improve other aspects of our business, we don't lose sight of what's really good already in our business. We want to maintain those strengths. Okay, next, long-term goals. This gets harder. What is your 3 to 5 year goal, and how is it critical to you? We went through lots of versions of this in my business. Chad and I sat down and went through worksheet after worksheet and plan after plan. And then we finally understood what our consultant was saying, and we started doing some math. Instead of looking at numbers in the way of sales, we looked at numbers in the way of how many business customers do we actually want, where we think we have enough that we can serve, not too many that we can't serve, and that we can achieve our financial goals. So we realized that what we needed to do was improve our marketing to business because we were a word of mouth business. We weren't marketing hard to business. And that means at this stage, a year and a half later, we're finally hiring a marketing person full time to help us push that goal because we realize it's critical to reaching this long-term goal in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, your goal can be sales, profits, retirement savings. Whatever this goal is, we want it to be something that we can measure or help you measure. It could be number of employees. And we want to make sure that we prioritize these things so that the short-term goals, the 90-day goals, help push us toward these long-term goals. Because if it's a long-term goal 3 to 5 years away and you never take any short-term or small steps to get there, you'll never get there. But if we set the long-term goal and then build the short-term steps around it, these are much easier numbers to hit. All right, that's most of what we need from you on the worksheet. I want to show you a couple more things though. When we get the numbers, when we get the words from you, we're going to fill in the left half of the worksheet here. Profile all these things that I've been asking you for the last few minutes. And then we're going to go to your books and we're going to pull all the numbers in. And then we're going to look at your goals and make sure that these things that we're calculating down here are things that aim you toward your goals. Finally, at the bottom, these are our short-term goals for the quarter. This is what we're currently working on. These are mostly done now. And then the fourth quarter, these are some things I think we need to work on, but we haven't made our decision yet. So we will decide those as we get to the end of our quarter, which is August 31st for us. We're on a different basis than most small businesses. Okay, so we need the answers from you. Send us a draft of whatever you got handwritten on or the worksheet we provided you. Email it to us, print it out, whatever's convenient. We're going to draft it up, send it back to you. We want you to put it up where you can see it. Put it up behind your desk, in front of your desk, on the wall in the break room where the employees, your team members can see it. And then finally, as you get these little quarterly goals done, we want to remind you to celebrate the wins. Life is stressful. It's a long slog to reach your goals. We expect it to take us 3 to 5 years. We're a year and a half into the process. And you have to celebrate the little wins along the way, because if you don't, you'll get exhausted and you might give up. This is like a weight loss program. Celebrate your wins, but not with cake. Alrighty, that's what I've got to say about this one. And finally, in January of next year, we'd like to host a seminar a second time and help you update your goals for next year. And we will update the worksheet as well. This is something we're providing for all of our clients. There's no cost in it. It's just our commitment to you to tell us that we want to see you succeed the way we've been succeeding. We want you to achieve some of the wins that we've been achieving in our office over the last year and a half, because it's changed the way we see the world. And there's lots more tools like this that we can share with you. Thanks for coming. Do you have any questions? Anyone want to unmute themselves and ask me anything? We've got a few minutes.
David, have you read about the pumpkin plan?
Yes, I've read, well, actually, I've listened to the audiobook. I'm just reading it now.
Okay. When you were talking about how to differentiate yourself in business, it really reminded me of the giant pumpkin plan and having something that really stands out, something that's really different from what your competitors are doing. That's the first thing that popped into my mind.
In that book, he describes, or maybe it was a different person, he describes that when they first invented the cassette player, how you hit the button and it just jerked open. And then years later, how someone came up with the idea of a cassette drawer that opens slowly and softly. He says it added no value at all to the product, but it made the product feel so much better to the buyer.
Yep.
And they sold a lot because of that. So it can be anything along those lines that makes you just slightly different from your competitors, that makes you look softer, better, faster, greener, and that will grab their attention. And that's what the pumpkin plan is saying. Find something to make you a little bit different and then harp on it. Let
Yep.
everyone know.
Yep. Yeah, the only thing that I would add in here, as far as my thoughts on, see what you think about this, is that when we realized how important it was to work on the business and not just in the business, it really changed things around for us. And, setting time aside to work specifically on building the business and making sure that, you know, we were building the business, that we were building marketing, that we were building a one-page plan, that we were staying true to our goals. I don't know how you felt in the initial process when we were setting goals, but I was like, come on, I'm gonna set goals. What is this? And I kind of thought that it was a little bit, just a little ridiculous. Like it was a little elementary. But I really saw the value in setting goals and having direction after we've been in it for a while because that really steered what we were working on in the business.
It also helped because when you started thinking of on versus in, it made you realize that you needed to stop doing the customer work sometimes so you could actually work on fixing the things that are broken. Every business has things that are broken, whether it's things that we wish we could do better, or we see our competitors do better, or maybe the government's changed the law on us and suddenly what we have doesn't work anymore. So, yeah, when we changed to working on the business and thought about it that way distinctly, I think it changed our focus, but it took a while. It took us a couple of months before that really kicked in and that we could see how that made a difference. And I don't think it was just the goals. I think it was the thinking. It was that difference in thinking, which is why I think our coach gave us the hat that said on one way and in the other way.
Yeah,
He wanted to remind us that you got to switch that hat around or you'll never get the work done. Because it's hard work, isn't it?
it is.
Been at this for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and it's like, whew,
For a small business owner, how much time would you say that they should be working on their business versus in their business? This could all be really overwhelming to put this together. What kind of time frame should they be looking at?
it was hard at first. I think we started off with an hour or two a week, and then it expanded. And now I think that for me, it's close to a day a week that I spend on it. It's not a whole day. It is a little piece of Monday, a little bit of Tuesday, and sometimes a Wednesday afternoon. But I found that when I did that, it improved my focus on it. And then the last thing we did, which is not something I shared, hold on, let me share the last piece here. Do I have it handy? Was we actually wrote those short-term goals down and then put them in a place where we could find them and see them and show them to people. So let me see if I've got that handy. Oh, right here. It is my report. There it is. So I put the to-dos right down here. Here's our to-dos for the quarter for May through August. Our quarter is 4 months long. And here's what we wanted to get done. And then I started grading in the boxes as we got them done. And May and June were terrible. We weren't getting any work done, which motivated me toward the end of the quarter to say, hey, we need to work harder. We need to get more accomplished here. So yeah, by having that, just a simple list somewhere, we also have a picture in the other room that Angelica built, not Angelica, Vanessa built for us. So a poster on the wall where we can check off the boxes as we get videos done. We want to record 20 videos these 3 months. So I think we've got 15 or 16 of those videos done. And that's why. Because we had a visual place to look and see. When you weren't getting it done, you felt bad about it. We needed that tool.
Great.
You got anything else you want to share at the last minute before we close up?
Just that it's really important, and that we're continuing to develop tools that are all visual on one page, right? When we have multiple page profit and loss statements and balance sheets and that sort of stuff, that the longer they get, the more difficult they are to read. Budgets and business plans and all of those things. So, as you're working to develop these tools, the reason that it's a one-page personal plan, one-page business plan, is because you can see it all at once when you're looking at it. It's a lot easier to read that way.
You can visualize and see it all in one place. Yeah, that's quick because, like I said, I keep it right above my desk and I can grab it down and look and see how did I expect to do this month? How am I actually doing this month?
Yep.
Powerful things. And this is only one step. We have a lot of other videos we're recording and putting online. If you visit our YouTube page, you can see some of those as well that we're sharing. Yeah.
What's the address for that YouTube page?
Oh, you don't have to ask, can't ask me the hard questions. I'll never remember. Let's see what it's called. Let me switch over. I think it's SB Best Practices. Where is your channel? Where's your channel? Yeah. SB Best Practices is our YouTube channel. And it's not that many so far. What is there, 20, 30 videos on here?
Yep.
But we're building a library to help people deal with these problems. Some are specific, like S Corp. If you're not an S Corp, you don't need to know any of these things. And some of them are about other problems that we have, just how to do stuff in the tax programs. Training for our internal team. But the big ones here, you're recording videos with other people to tell our clients, here's how to handle it when those are problems. Yeah. And we've got lots more to share. You've got several you've scheduled, right?
Yep.
We will keep building because it's helpful. And if we help you, you don't have to struggle as much as we did getting this done.
Yep.
And I'd like to see our clients do better at this and struggle less. I think that's really one of our big goals. Well, I thank you all for coming today. I'm going to wrap it up here and I will save a recording, and this will end up on YouTube as well so that we can share it with people who could make it today. Thanks.